Hey everyone, it's Jenny here from Angel Handmade Papercraft. It is a new month, therefore a new challenge has begun at Happy Craft Challenge. So I am using the sketch for my card today, and I'm using the image from Fabrika Fantasy, who is our sponsor for this month. And this is the forest mouse image. So I am colouring up the image with my Copic markers. I have already got him printed out onto some Express It blending card, and I am using my W markers to colour him up. So I'm using W246, I think I'm using. Sorry, I didn't write them down correctly on my list here. So I'm reading and looking and it's not matching up. So we are colouring him up. I'm using some R20 on his cheeks and just on the bottom of his feet, and then blending that out. Adding a little tiny bit of pink to his tail as well, and then I'm going into his outfit. So I'm using some blue markers for his little overalls here. I wanted to give him like a denim overall type of look, so I'm using B93, 95 and 97. So it was a nice quick image to colour up, a few little details, but he was great to colour up. So I'm using now some red markers. I'm using R08, R27 and R56, and then I'm using E39 for the coffee inside the mug. Using my Uni-Ball white broad pen to add some details to the cup and just some little details to the mouse. So that's the sketch again, just reminding you. And now obviously the image was inside a circle, so I am using my Lawn Fawn stitched circle dies to cut him out. Just running him through my Sizzix Big Shot on the side there, and then putting all my dies back together so I don't lose them. The papers that I am looking at are from the Craft Mountain Air 6.5 inch pad. Grabbed a couple of papers from there, and this thanks die is from My Favorite Things. Unfortunately, this one I couldn't find any links for, so I'm assuming it's retired. And I'm using a sentiment from the Altenew Best Dad stamp set. I did want to change the sentiment around though, so I have marked off a few little sections to make that work for me. Using some Memento Tuxedo Black, and I have added my paper to my Wendy Vecchi make art station just because it was such a fine piece of paper. I didn't want it to mess up. So using my Tim Holtz guillotine to cut the sentiment nice and thin, and I used post-it notes to block off some of the sentiment. So I'm adhering all that using some Tombow Mono Multi. Using my EK Success scissors just to banner that little strip up there, and I didn't want to use a bow, but being that it was on the sketch, I found this little cute moustache die set in my stash, and I thought maybe I could use one of these instead, and it actually worked out really well. I was really happy with it, the way that it turned out in the end. Now, as I'm putting this card together, I decided that that paper that I had chosen for the background, it needed something else. So what I did was I went in with some of my paints and added some paint splatter. So I'm just using some of the Papercraft colors, just some of the white and the black, added a little bit of water, and then used my acrylic block just to flick off some of that paint all over the shop. Didn't want it to be perfect. I'm going in with the black. And done. Making sure that you clean up your work surface before you get paint on anything. And obviously I couldn't wait for this to dry, so I went in with my heat gun, smudged one of the bits of paint that was still quite wet, but I managed to cover that up, so it was all good. So I'm just wiping up that paint that was still wet on my desk. And now I'm just working out all of my layering. So I was fiddling and fiddling and fiddling with this card. I don't know why, but I did. So popping that sentiment down, I realized that strip it needed to go over a little tiny bit more, adding on some of that liquid adhesive. And then everything was then sticking to my fingers. The moustache kept coming off, and I was having a good old time with this card. Used my bone folder to try and hold it so that it wasn't getting sticky all over my fingers anymore. Adding some Scotch ATG to the back, and now adding some detail using my white Uni-Ball marker, and now going in with some some Nouveau crystal drops. Now for some reason they just went all wonky. I tried to fix them, but then they got to me. So I had to change my card base because I tore the backing as I was trying to take it all off. I tell you, this card, it just gave me a hell of a time all the way through. I don't even know why it was such a simple card to make. So I did redo the Nuvo drops, which I will be doing shortly, and they did work out okay. So not too many complaints now. So they are still wet. I'm just being careful. See how perfect they are this time? And that is my card pretty much complete. So I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.